But today I want to talk to you about something very special, and that is that the voices in your head do not belong to you, which means you do not own your thoughts. They're part of your conditioned mind. So what do I mean with that? What do I mean when I say that? When you were born, you had what was called pure consciousness. And that pure consciousness or pure mind is a field of infinite possibilities. It's a field of infinite correlation. It is one with all that exists. It's a field of intentionality. It's a field of creativity, of love, of joy, of interconnectedness and intimacy with the universe. But then what happens is our mind gets conditioned. And how does it get conditioned? It gets conditioned by the other conditioned minds that we are in contact with. Our parents, our culture, our religion, our social interactions, our history, economic conditions, on and on. In fact, every thought that you have is actually a recycling of what you've heard and what you've understood and what has been fed to you by entire society. You are culturally conditioned, and you are conditioned, of course, by all kinds of systems of thought. And these actually squeeze your infinite mind into the narrow mind. And then, of course, through the narrow mind, we create ideologies and we create all kinds of so-called truths which have no basis in reality. Reality is the unconditioned mind, which has all those attributes that I mentioned. Principally, it's all possibilities, infinite possibilities. It's your source field, and it is also the source field of the entire universe. So once you realize that, you can be 100% sure that your thoughts are not your own. So and that includes our beliefs. The beliefs are thoughts that we hold to be true. So some thoughts, some beliefs are limiting. You know, I'll never be good enough. I'll never be successful. I'll never be rich. I'll never have a good relationship. I'm too ugly, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not thin enough, etc. Remember, these thoughts don't belong to you. So you have to, whenever you have these thoughts, you should ask yourself, is it true? How am I so sure if this is true? Is this thought limiting me? How could I go beyond this limitation? What is a thought that is more empowering? How can I create that thought? Better still, go into the deepest part of your being, which is just silence. And then when a thought intrudes, say, doesn't belong to me. Let it pass. Observe your thoughts arise and subside like waves on the ocean. You're not the waves, although you get conditioned by the waves. You're the mighty ocean itself. You're not just a drop in the ocean, you're the ocean in the drop itself. And in the depths of the ocean is infinity. And you are the infinite mind, conditioned through society and culture and religion into the local mind. Okay, is this not enough to convince you that your thoughts don't belong to you? When you take ownership of your thoughts, then you get bamboozled by the hypnosis of social conditioning, by the hypnosis of cultural conditioning. And then there is no originality in that. There's no creativity in that. There's no love in that. It's all conditioned love. So please, please understand that you are the infinite being. You are the universe having a human experience, but the human experience is conditioned by labels, by definitions, by evaluations, by judgments, by opinions, and by words that you've heard as a child. And it's difficult to break out of this prison because, if you're in a real prison, a so-called real prison, at least you see the bars. In this prison, which is the hypnosis of social conditioning, the hypnosis of cultural conditioning, you are in a prison that has no walls, and therefore you don't realize that you're in a prison, and therefore you have no desire to escape. But if you escaped, you would find the true mind, you would find the true self, you would find who you really are, and you would be free. The ticket to freedom is not to own your thoughts. The ticket to freedom is to find the source field within you, which is the source field of the universe. So I like to quote Rumi when he says, Rumi is so great. He says, why do you stay in prison? Why do you stay in prison when the door is wide open? Why do you stay in prison when the door is wide open? Please do not stay in this prison. Ask yourself, who am I in the middle of all this thought traffic? That's what Rumi also says in one of his poems. Who am I in the middle of all this thought traffic? And who you are is the immeasurable potential of all that was, all that is, and all that will ever be. Who you are is not in space and time, but that which experiences space and time. Who you are cannot be imagined, but without which there is no imagination. Who you are is inconceivable, but without which there is no thought and no conception of anything. Who you are cannot be perceived, but without which there is no perception. You are the inconceivable, unimaginable, fundamental reality out of which the whole universe is arising and subsiding as your mind, as your body, and as the universe. That's where you belong, not in time. Not in time. Again, to quote Rumi, he says, this is not the real reality. The real reality is behind the curtain. This is not the real reality. This is not the real reality. The real reality is behind the curtain. In truth, we are not here. This is our shadow. This is our shadow. We come spinning out of nothingness, scattering stars like dust. Look at these worlds spinning out of nothingness. This is you. By God, when you see your beauty, you'll be the idol of yourself. And when you have that total self-knowledge, when you have that total self-awareness, when you have that total self-love, then there is no stopping to what you can think of, what you can dream of, what you can imagine, what you can create, what you can become. But the first thing is, do not be bamboozled by the hypnosis of social conditioning. Do not be bamboozled by the hypnosis of social conditioning. That's where the world is right now, in total chaos, total confusion, fighting, killing, murdering, and all in the name of religion, all in the name of God, all in the name of some ideology, capitalism, communism, socialism. These are all systems of thought that actually prevent you from knowing yourself. And you reinforce these systems of thought by thinking that the voices in your head belong to you. The voices in your head do not belong to you. They are the prison without walls that was created through conditioning, through cultural, religious, social, historical economic conditioning. That's what created the conditioned mind, that's what created the fragmented mind, and that fragmented mind prevents you from knowing your true self. Please think about this and get into that place where there is infinite silence, infinite being, infinite creativity, infinite love, infinite joy, and infinite understanding that the real you is not in space and time. The real you is endless, eternal, non-local, infinite. And this is where we belong. We can be in the world and not of it if we understand the nature of our true self. So freedom is available to you right now. It's a thought away, or should I say minus a thought away, in the field of infinite silence, which is also infinite dynamism. So I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope that you can not be imprisoned by the thoughts that don't belong to you and that in fact never belong to you.